So this should be a separate recording here where I can get some insight from you on this. I'd love to get some feedback from you if that works. Um, Today we brought in coaching into this space, and we started out with like a topic about radical change and confronting that, and we brought in some coaching. I'm curious about like, how was that experience for you? Was that like um, almost like a little bit more in the mechanics of it all, like from someone that came in not knowing what, like you came in, you saw a topic, you're like, I'm going to show up, you know. How was it from the mechanics of it all? Was it like in the level of what you wanted to have it be? Were you just open to things? Did it feel clunky? Did it feel like, oh, I wish I, like, if I known to be coaching, I would have been like even more gung ho or whatever it is? I'd love to just get a little bit of a sense of that.
I'm glad for the surprise because I was surprised. I was like not knowing anyway what the topic, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to go that. What are we talking about? Is it going to be too deep? What the heck is it about? And I showed up because I wanted to show up for World Joy Movement, and I missed the last few conversations due to my work schedule. And so I was like, oh, I just remembered I'm off tonight. I can go to World Joy. I'm going to be there. I don't care how I'm going to make it. Maybe a couple minutes late, but I'm going to make it. And so when you introduced and invited coaching into it, I was like, yes, I love coaching, but what the heck? Actually, what the hell is going to go on? Like, what is he up to? Like, oh my goodness, like, what did I get into? Um, and then when we went through confrontation and commitment, got to the point of commitment, I was like, oh my goodness, I just committed to something I'm not sure if I want to commit to. It was that, okay, what promise am I? At the word promise, I was like, oh my goodness, I've never seen promise as commitment. I make commitments, I make promises. And it was very enlightening. And when it unfolded even more, I was excited. And then there was some part of me of being a leader and a coach myself of like, am I being coached or am I coaching? And I said, no, come back to the moment. And so it was a lot going on inside, but I'm really thankful for it because I went through those emotions of curiosity and imagination, the abstract, there were tears that I held back and fought, and it brought me back to joy. So it was like a juggle, but also in a cycle, but it went to change. And it felt just like the story I was telling. Actually, that's exactly what it was like for me to experience the story that I just told of going through it. You don't realize it. You're like, oh my goodness, how do I navigate? What's going on? But after you're out of it, it's like the light, and you're like, oh, that was so simple. That was easy. And that happened so like the blink of an eye. And I think that's how joy happens. That's how joy is. So it was great. I'm happy for it. And actually, it's a great way to end my night because it started as wanting this day to be very um, productive, and I'm going to do this and really work on my business and coaching. And I'm just like, it unfolded like my normal weather storm sporadic life. You know what was going to happen. I'm on this phone, I'm like, nothing's productive here until I come to this, and I'm like, okay, not only did I get that extra 1%, but I got the real thing that I've wanted to get was to take action on my vision. And So now I have it. And I'm like, and it wasn't just now I have it of what to do. I actually did it. Like I did it. It was recorded. I put it out there, but in the smallest space, in the most comforting personal space of just you and I. Didn't seem like it, but it's the masses through one conversation at a time.
Yeah, that's it, Mary. I like to look at these spaces that I create as like a the playground or a sandbox. And I think like it's a different space than I think most people are used to, where I'm like, this is your chance to go out and just practice it. Just do it. Say it messy. Say it however it gets said, and
Yeah.
it's recorded. And one of the benefits for me is that like I'm not 10 years into the World Joy movement. I'm like we're like week 3, not even like week 2, right? It's like things are going to come back and you'll be sharing your message, you'll be sharing your thing on wherever you need to share it, and we'll be able to come back and point back to like, hey, remember that time, right? And when
Right.
people feel like they can no longer relate to you because they're like, well, I could never do that, and you're telling your story and things like that, you can come back and you can pull out a clip of this and be like, look, here goes like I
This was
literally was
me.
right there. Yeah. And this is why I'm going to take you to like come join me in my abstraction to message like course, like this was me, and this is so I love that there, because I think what I realized is that I like we're moving people on a journey that moves them fairly quickly, and then it becomes harder to recognize where we've been, and rather than and I like to make sure that we're documenting where we are along the path. Like I'm in this for like the next 25 years. The World Joy movement, it's my thing, and the people that I'm meeting in here, I'm like, I'm with you for the next 25 years. Like let's see where we go and remember where we were and the lessons that we learned and the things like it's like
And I'm
that's how I'm
laughing
looking
because
at it.
I'm like adding 25 years to my life right now. And I'm like, I wonder how this will look. And
Yeah.
will this still be up here? And it's going to be a look great.
You could pull back that. You could be like, yeah, I had a little less hair then. Now, like my hair is luscious, like in this a totally different way. Um, would you mind giving me just like 30 seconds? I know that we've gone past our time, but would you mind giving me 30
Mhm.
seconds just to go to handle something real quick?
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a snack.
Okay. All right. If you like, thank you for staying on a little bit longer. If you want to just go and eat, just say I'm ready to go eat. Like that's totally fine too.
I
Um,
normally don't eat. I snack a lot.
okay. Okay. Well, I'm grateful for this. I have like two more questions that are on my mind. Like what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to see what the World Joy movement is. I know me now, and what I needed to create was a container for me to be able to both serve and create with people.
Mhm.
You know, and I think as this goes on, my brain gets more and more like, oh wait, no, it's this. Oh wait, hold on, it's more of this. And so I'm grateful for our conversations, because every time we meet, it gives me a chance to see a little bit more of like refine it a little bit more and to see what it is and what it isn't. Um, this is a co-created space. And what I mean by that is like, I really do mean like my style of leadership is to be two things. One, to be a lone nut, so that no one, like if people want to dance, I know people want to dance, but no one's dancing. I'll be the one that just starts dancing by myself out there. I'm like, I know y'all want to dance. I'm just going to dance. All right. And then the second one is to be the first follower, which is to go and support someone else who is out there dancing on their own and being like, all right, look, I'm down to go with you on that. Right. So in today's conversation, there's a bit of first follower, right? Where it's like you have a vision out here and it's like, I'm going to meet you in the abstraction and I'll dance with you out there. And then over time, we're going to like bring in more and more and more. Okay. And here goes the movement. Like we can see it. We can see what the message is. It's great. You know? So I love doing that for people. I love letting these spaces be a platform for people. My general hope, and not even hope, my goal, intention, and commitment is in the long run, in the 25 years especially, but in like the next year here, um, for the types of sessions that I lead to be less than 10% of what comes out of this space, for the recordings that go out into the world to be less than, for it'll be less than 10% of it being me. Like I've done that with Niyama and Sean, where it's almost 100% me, you know. Like now I'm looking to go out and say like, no, this is a movement. It's a community that comes together. And as a result of us coming together as a community, we change our world outside of us, right? Outside of this space. Like I'm realizing that as it goes on. And so as I'm learning more and more about this, what I find is that in order to be and this is where I've been struggling myself, in order for me to be a first follower leader, I'm looking for some lone nuts, you know, who are willing to go. When I say lone nut and stuff, have you watched the Derek Sivers How to Start a Movement TED Talk? Okay, so part of that may not have made too much sense. The idea here is that it's the TED Talk where someone's on a grassy hill and it starts with one person dancing, and before the end of like 2 minutes, like everyone's run to like the whole entire concert is like dancing with him. I
didn't have to watch it when you said dancing. I really pictured you like starting as a little slogan, like saying, "Let's dance."
Yeah. This like that's how I feel. That's
And
how I typically go.
Dance is a movement. It starts with one movement at a time. I literally took some dance classes, and that's what we talk about was movement. That's what you learn is the movement. You don't learn how to dance. You learn movement, how to move into a certain pattern.
That's interesting. Thank you for that. I'm going to take that as a gift. I'll be playing with that. So I guess if I was going to take it out of that like first follower element, what generally it is that my style of doing all this stuff is to come in, see what people need, and serve to that. And let me be the person that's like, okay, great, this is what you need. We can handle it in a coaching conversation. Or perhaps the thing is, I'll give you a stage by having it recorded and have it out in the world and let like your V1 be out there. Whether anyone watches this or not, doesn't matter. You've said it. Now you can move on to the next part, or you can come back and refine it more and thoughts there. Okay. And so there's a big part that flows out of me of like, okay, what would serve Mary? Or like, what's the sandbox that would serve Mary here, right? When in a lot of my other programs, I'll go by and we'll give them spaces to like lead a session, like facilitate a conversation that they want to like lead. Or when they figure out their message, they'll come and they'll give that message into this space. Or it could be, you may not be the only person that's trying to figure out how to turn your vision into action and trying to learn tell your story or to figure out what your message is. So I can go and create different sessions and put on the calendar the World Joy Movement for anyone that's looking to figure out their message. I was talking to Mary. We were hearing more about her message and story, and we're going to create a session specifically to help you pull out what your message is, you know, or to get you in the space with other people who pull out your message. And you're going to come in and you're going to come in with curiosity. So I did it with you right now, one-on-one, but we can create an entire thing where everyone can come in, say whatever they need to, and everyone just ask questions to get more curious and pull back different layers and so on and so forth. Like that, to me, that's fun. That's joy for me. That's like how we get to the answer is more important than the answer for me. So I want to kind of, I'm finding this again, as I do this, I'm like, oh, okay. The World Joy Movement is just a container, and it's more important for me to figure out what do people want, and then find out, okay, how will I serve what people want or create with that, than for me to come out and say, for example, I'm going to create another 3 weeks worth of conversations on like, you know, the importance of showing up in the world as you. Like, it could be more heavy than what people want, you know? Like it could be like, I just need 10 minutes to go talk to someone and get into a joyful space every morning. If I can get 10 minutes to come in here and spend time in this space where my energy gets up to joyfulness, I'm good. Or you get what I'm saying? Like I'm really open about like looking at this as a community and saying, I'm going to choose conversations first, you know, but then there might be some things of saying, okay, great. I've had all the in-person conversations. What would we look like? We're going to draw together, or we're going to do this together, or whatever it is. I don't know. that's I'm here to serve and emerge, but not serve through coaching, serve as a platform, and be like, okay, great. For example, someone is now going to host weekly co-working hours inside the World Joy Movement, where it's like, I just don't want to work alone anymore. I think it'd be really fun to work with other people. So on Wednesdays from 1 to 2 Pacific for the next 3 months or next month and a half, this time slot, if you want to come and work with someone, I will be here and we can all just join on Zoom. That's what I'm about. Like, I'm a space for other people to be in community with each other and be a platform for each other. So I'm giving these as examples here. And a lot of the examples I'm sharing with you have come from other people that I've talked to individually to find out what would really serve. And I'm curious for you, you've come to these sessions that I've put together and we've played around in a couple different ways. For you, like, if you had the opportunity to just get, let's say this, if this was a $25,000 program for you, where you can use all these different things and it wasn't just like a space, like what would you want to use it with? Like, what would really feel fun for you and will help you like continue playing your game?
For me, it's a space. It's a space of showing up because someone's there. Someone's there to talk to. Whether it's listening for me to listen, for me to talk, someone's there. It's a space. It's someone more structured than me. Because I'm sporadic and I'll say I'm gonna do, but it's there. It's not a demanding of you gotta go to World Joy Movement at 7 on next amount of time. It's like, it's here. I'm inviting you if you want it. It's here whenever you want to come. If you can't come, if you don't want to come, don't come. And every time that I've come, it's always been, I like the openness and the free space of being, it's not so, it's going to be like this and you're coming to learn about this. It's been so open that you never know what's going to come out of it, but you know something great is going to come out of it. And you're just, that's the only expectancy, is that it's going to be worth it. I don't care how, because you know it's only going to be 1%. And I look at it like even 0.5%, because if there's 2 people, there's 0.5 from each. And that's a very small number to be accountable for. So I'm like, I can do that. I can commit to that. A 0.5%, I could do that.
Awesome. That's helpful, Mary. That's really helpful because, what you did is you provided an opportunity of freedom for me, where you're like, the job is done once the space is created and there's someone there, like you're like, I didn't like, it wasn't the conversation topic that got me. It's like, I just want to go be a part of the movement right now. I have time to go be a part of the movement. Great. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Oh, okay, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm here, and I think that actually works really well for me too, because I'm very much like, I'll invite you into something, but then when we get there, we'll see what it is. So can I share with you some of the ideas that I'm looking to bring in the next, like after I get done this, I'm going to eat lunch and then I'm going to like put together this calendar and then put it on the calendar here. Right. Interestingly enough, 2 weeks ago, when I first started this, I was like, I'm going to come up with 30 conversations in 30 days. And we're a week or two in here and I'm like, and like when I thought about those 30 conversations in 30 days, I was like, that's radical. Like, no one's going to want to do 30 conversations. But I needed to get used to that. I need to do this. Like, otherwise I'll do one conversation. Maybe someone will show up, maybe someone doesn't. And then I'm like, oh, I have the whole idea wrong. And then I'll just you'll just see me disappear for a long time. Right. And what I realized from having these conversations is actually 30 conversations is nothing. An hour a day that's available for you. Like, that's really especially for me right now and the way that I operate, my whole business is having conversations, being in community. What am I doing with the other 7 hours of the workday? These are the questions that I go into my mind. I'm like, if I'm not talking to someone, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to create this. I'm like, okay, actually, let me change this up. We could have 2, 3, 4 conversations in a day. Maybe some of them are 20-minute long. Some of them are an hour and a half long, they don't all have to be but we can do that. And if I look at the 30 conversations that are on the calendar right now, it's all one type of conversation. It's like the heavy, and I love it. It's like a melting pot conversation. It's like, let's talk about who we are as people in the society and work with that. That's totally cool. But that's the only offering, more or less, and so when talking to people, I'm like, oh yeah, going forward, I'm going to start doing this thing. I think it's going to be 9 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll do 20 minutes of I'm calling it that joyful energy. Come get in that joyful energy, 20 minutes. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something to help us start our days off with a little bit more joy in our day, right? Whatever that is, get into that energetic space. Mm-hmm. Once a week, we'll have kind of basically, I'm thinking maybe at the beginning of the week and maybe again at the end, we'll see. But 30 minutes for us to come in and share okay, this is my joyful intention for the week. I want to get this done. I want to get this done. This is where I'm at. This is who I want to be this week. Cool. Come in, declare it, let it be known, let it be received, let it be seen. You do that, and we just come in and we see how that continues on for you. So now I'm creating these types of, we'll do spaces where there's specifically coaching that's going to happen there. We'll have spaces where there may be some teaching or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm just looking to see. It's almost like I'm a TV channel that said, hey, you can at first I was saying you can only watch Grey's Anatomy every single day. Every day there's a different episode, but it's Grey's Anatomy. Here's the same characters, all that stuff, right? That's what I feel like the first 2 weeks have started out as. And now I'm like, oh, wait, I have other things. And some people might want to watch Grey's Anatomy and then watch I don't know what else is on TV right now. Mixed-ish, and some people are going to make a choice to watch one. Some people are going to make a choice to watch the other. Some are going to watch both. Some are going to watch both of them live. Someone's going to pick one live. The other one watch it on DVR or on it doesn't matter. But if it's available, if it's a space, then people can come into it. So that's the idea that I have. That's the energy that I'm holding. There may be a lot of spaces that I hold that no one comes to for a while. Cool. But I'm going to let that space be there should they want to be there. And then I'm just going to do the job of, then my work just becomes, let me go find more people who would want to be in spaces with each other. And then we'll just keep growing that out. And there will be, I'll let you know, there will be the way I'm looking at it is there are going to be bands around this where certain types of sessions, let's say I'm doing more coaching, that will be a certain band where it's a paid area where if you're getting coaching on a regular basis, that's closed, that's behind, it's still recorded, but only shared by the people that are there. But every once in a while, the coaching will happen publicly and in the general availability. But I'm if I'm doing an hour, at least 1 hour a day in just the overall general World Joy Movement space, I will never look at my work as I don't know, that's 5 times more than most people will give in any given thing, So I'm sharing a bit with you about the vision of creating this as a community, starting out with the types of sessions that are there, and then bit by bit, once we're getting into community, then it's okay, how do we take it outside of this space and so on and so forth. But I wanted to just kind of share that vision with you, share what's kind of coming up here, see any reactions you have from it, and then let you go eat and relax and everything like that.
It is very intriguing because I have a friend and a business partner who actually is a member of World Joy Movement because I invited him, who has a very almost identical vision to yours. He has a network, a Channel 82 network. It's an entire network where creatives live. And it's to have us place one place you can go to where all things creative. I mean, from food to fashion to coaching. I'm the coach, the single coach person on the show, to poetry, to writing, to artwork, all things creative, basically, because the logo in it is where creators live. And it's a whole network. And he's a very busy person, and he also still works a regular job. And they have collected, him and his wife, about 5 kids. So a lot going on, but I've always been on board. It's a long-term friend of mine, and we connected professionally last year before me joining TE. And he's done a lot of things, like, you've never seen my logo, but he started as an artist. He designed my logo for me. By just listening and knowing me, I told him kind of what I wanted, and he came up with this thing. I was like, oh, I didn't even know what it was, and he had to explain to me. I'm like, what the heck is this? Because that was going to be the one I was going to say, this is a definite no. And then I was like, I should ask what it is. And then when he pointed it out, and I was like, this is all me. It has the hands of embracing. It has a heart. It has a person. It has the seed I was talking about, illuminated. And it says exuberance across the top. And this is me with Mary LP. And I don't like by Mary LP. I like with, because I'm inviting people to be with me. And it's just great. But you saying that made me think of that. And I think, to me, the only difference is yours is more of, you're an interactive stage of, this is the space that people come into, and this is the full network, that, like, the channel that you go to find all these things, that is outside of the typical social media, Facebook and all of that. Because I think him and I had that conversation where we talked about one of the things that led to that, besides from a vision with his spiritual thing, was being outside, like creating your own thing and not being confined to these guidelines, like we know Facebook has, and then you do it and they put you in jail. That you can really have true free expression and really be creative and not have your creativity boxed in, if you say. So I'm like, wow, to hear that. And I'm like, there's something there that's drawing me to people with this connection. And these things are all aligned. And I'm really just like, where's the dots? I mean, I'm seeing the dots, but I'm like looking, here comes the lines and the loops. They're dotted lines and they're coming together. So I'm starting to see a lot of ways that all the different things that I'm into is connected. And it's like, wow. Because also I've put my community, C4E, is like at a standstill now. And do you know Gabriel from TE?
I've never met him, but I remember you talking about him.
He's okay. So he's a part of it, but he's had to pause on it. And I was trying to go back to the drawing board. I had to restructure, reframe how to do what we're trying to do, and the message and the actual action that we're trying to do with it. So I was like, okay, it's something connected to something. I don't know what's inside of what or beside what, but it's making more sense to hear that, where you're going in the direction with your vision. I know his vision. He's told me his direction. Final Minds, and so to hear all these visions, these missions, these messages, movements, all the things, and how it aligns somehow, it's like I'm like ecstatic. That's why I was just smiling while you were just talking. I was like, when you hear the whole thing, and I was just sitting here like this, like, wow, okay, all right. This sounds very familiar, but also another style. And I was like, interesting, very interesting.
Oh, I'm so happy you brought this in here. What is his name?
Morio, Wilson.
Morio.
He goes by Morio J. He's on
Morio J.
Facebook, whatever. But I think he signed up because I didn't have the right email.
I've
I
seen
sent it
I've
to the
seen
network.
Channel 82. Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that's what the email he ended up signing up as, Channel 82,
Okay.
the
Okay.
network. And I forget. I think it's CHA, the number 8
Yeah. Yeah.
EY2.com.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I have some. There's a podcast. I have a couple pieces on there, and I have some other things. A part of it have been featured in different things from the beginning, from the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one came out on my birthday. The one I first did was
Mm.
last year, 2/2 of 20. I put out a piece called "Okay." It's a very short piece, but ever since I put it out, it did for me, just like you said about going back and looking at today's thing. It did for me what I didn't realize, because it's now 2021, well past February, and I go back and listen to it, and I was like, that's me. And it takes on new meaning and like what it actually means to me now. And I wrote it actually way before, like years ago. Didn't think, no, I'm just gonna put a little piece out here. This is an easy one to do. And the feedback that I've gotten from the people I've shared it with, like emotional tears, and like it's a very simple piece, and it's done a lot for me. Um, Going back to listen to my own things, so having different spaces, like the space to create, to take action, to move, to dance, and make change. I think that's where it is. And make for people like me, someone like me, I know that's what helps me, because I will forever just sit there and like, ooh, in my little creative space, um, like Einstein or something, and not actually do it, like put it out there to anybody, um, until I have a space or accountability, and somebody says, "Hey, here, you can come here." And I may not even initially come. I may initially come and feel back and forth, but it's like knowing that I have that means a lot, and it does a lot for me. And I that's why I lean into. So I'm very honored that you shared that vision with me. And where you're going, and it sounds very nice. I get it. I really see it. People say, visions like that, they think, oh, it's hard. No, I get it. I get it. I totally get it.
Mary, I'm very grateful for you right now. I told you this when we first started this conversation. I'll tell you this again now. You're getting it. Your decision to say, yeah, I want to be a part of the movement, and I'm just going to show up and see what it is, versus I'm going to be on the sidelines. And like, the movement is you right now, right? The movement, like, it is being done through you, and this share right here gets me excited about meeting him. Helps me also see, like, oh, I'm at the stage of the movement, and I never want the stage to actually end, but I should really get to have a conversation with every single person who signed up, every person that's here. And I can do some research beforehand, watch some of the things, like, but every single person, have that conversation. Go be in the space with them, see what they're up to, see what joy is for them, how they really bringing joy into the world, so on and so forth. Have that conversation one-on-one, have that conversation together, bring other people together and say, okay, great. Now here's a space where you can hear like and meet each other through this space. And sometimes like this is what I'm starting to realize. I'm like, this movement exists best as a community. And it's not about, I thought it was about the conversations, but it's about the conversation is just the vehicle that lets people come together for the relationships. You know, it's a community relationship.
I look at it, if before Corona, and if you would look at like a physical building, it's like that event building that you can go and, hey, let's all come meet up here, and we'll have this little thing that we're doing, white tie, whatever, black tie, or whatever we want to have, or we could just have a birthday party, a barbecue. Hey, let's get together. And this is where we're going.
That's what
I'm going like, over the World Joy Movement. Where is that? I'll send you the address.
Send you that. Mary, that is, you have just really captured so much. I like the people on my team. I'm like, we should be thinking about this as a party. Like it's like I'm creating worlds for us here, you know, and there's different levels and there's different ways that you can play. And like, there may be a day where it's like, hey, you know, come dress up as a superhero, you know, or come in your pajamas or whatever it is. Like I want to be able to play. And I've gotten the chance to experience it from being in 4PC, like every once in a while, like they'll pull out something like that. I'm like, I bought pajamas at like in my 30s for the first time, you know, like a onesie. I brought this grown onesie that like zippers from top to bottom. Yeah. I will never forget that, because that was also the day I went from being Nemo to Niyama, you know? And then I go and I'm like, hi everyone, it's time to take me very seriously. My name is Niyama. And there's like little like ducks, rubber ducks all over me. Yeah. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Big bow, black nailed Niyama.
Yeah.
Onesie.
In a onesie. In a onesie. Like that's the truth. That is me, you know? That's what's starting to come out. That's what's like, I'm learning more and more about like, oh, okay, great. Now I'm taking how I take the power of coaching and bring it to everything I do. But what makes coaching powerful? Oh, it's the space. Like people, people will talk to me. They're like, what coaching schools did you go to and all that stuff? After I'll coach them, they're like, I haven't been to any of that. They're like, but how are you like, you're so good at this. Like, where'd it come from? I'm like, I'm here with you, you know? And I think that this is where we get a chance to play. We get a chance to play here. Mary, I think this is a wonderful time to end the conversation altogether. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the movement. Thank you for shaping the movement. You are a shaper. I'm trying to figure out like what name we call ourselves. I'm like World Joy Champions, World Joy Shapers. I'm like, I'll start with something and then we'll see where people want to take it, you know? But I see you as a shaper here, and actually like how this thing is being influenced by you, and I'm very grateful for you.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful for you there. All right, Mary, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.
It's the World Joy Movement. Yeah. What was your greatest insight from this conversation? And if you want to come and be a part of a conversation like this live, it's really simple. Just go to beworldjoy.com and come introduce yourself, and let's take the conversation to the next level, because you're there now. All right, let's play.